up, Fandomaniacs?
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back to another episode of Tandem Fandom. I'm Mick.
I'm Courtney.
And we have finally reached the conclusion of the first round of WWE's Cruiserweight Classic.
And they most definitely saved the best for last.
Abso-friggin-lutely. It was unreal. You had Jason Lee representing Hong Kong against All Night Long, Rich Swann of the United States of America.
Sorry, I was just thinking, I don't know why they started singing that. Like, it was all, you can't handle this. Then the crowd was all like, all night long.
All night.
Okay.
Oh.
But Noam Dar versus Gurv Shira, the other half of the Bollywood Boys.
That's right. Noam Dar, Israeli born, but representing Scotland. Gurv Shira, of course, representing India. The gentleman, Jack Gallagher, representing...
Very gentlemanly.
Representing the United Kingdom against Fabian Eichner of Italy. And the main event of the evening, it was USA against USA. Johnny Gargano against Tommaso Ciampa.
Main event on the TV, main event in my heart.
This, hands down, was the best match they have done so far with the Cruiserweight Classic. It had every element that you want in a professional wrestling match. They told an excellent story in the ring. They told an excellent story outside of the ring with them being, you know, tag partners in NXT, with them being very close friends outside of the ring. It was beautiful, but
it was awesome.
But we're jumping ahead a little bit. Let's start with the opener of the night with Jason Lee against Rich Swann.
Yeah, Jason Lee, he looked promising. I liked his look, I liked his attitude, but Rich Swann took it. As soon as he came through, as soon as he came down the walkway, it was like, this crowd.
You know, this was probably a little bit by design. Rich Swann, having been in NXT for a little while, he's worked a lot of the local shows, so the crowd was definitely behind him. But he was so entertaining, engaging, and from an in-ring standpoint, insanely impressive. I mean, his finish was a standing 450 splash. I've never seen anybody just bounce, bounce, boom. Like, I've never seen that before, so that was amazing. But, and I said this as soon as Rich Swann came out and he was dancing and everything, and I said, this is what DeMac should have been doing.
This is what he was trying to do.
Yeah, because Rich Swann was so much more entertaining. I was like, if he busts out a moonwalk, that's the gimmick. He just took DeMac's gimmick and did it better.
Right.
You know, Michael Jackson of professional wrestling. Yeah. No, sir!
Rich Swann seemed way more comfortable in the dancing and the moving and the selling to the audience.
I think that was the biggest difference, is just his level of comfort and knowing who he is as a person, as a character, everything. It was...
confidence.
Yeah, it was insanely entertaining. The match itself was really good. I was more impressed with Ho Ho Lun than I was Jason Lee.
Yeah, I feel like Ho Ho Lun's gonna be the Hong Kong representative to move on.
Definitely. Well, and Jason Lee, you know, they said his style was high-flying. I don't believe I saw him do one move.
He didn't.
He had, like, kind of like a flurry in the corner. And granted, they didn't seem like they had a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, this was the shortest of the matches, on this particular episode anyway. But he had that flurry in the corner, and they were like, the speed of Jason Lee. But it was the worst camera angle they could have used because it didn't look fast from that angle.
Well, and they switched angles too, like 3 times. It was like, no, let us focus on what's happening in the corner.
Yeah, but has some impressive nunchuck skills. Fellow chucker, huh? But, you know, potential there.
I wanted a little more nunchuck action. Maybe he should have come out like Ultimate Weapon. What was his name?
The Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman. Well, of course you know Steve Blackman, Hall of Fame legendary career that he had in the WWE. But no, I see what you mean. I think he could have played up to it a little bit more. They kept referencing Bruce Lee. Yeah. I really expected some, you know...
Well, he did it at the beginning.
Yeah.
He kind of lost it. I don't know if he just wasn't comfortable with Rich. Something just didn't quite flow with him. Huh.
Well, you know, we've seen this a little bit in some of the other competitors. I think you're right. I think it's a level of comfort, and like this is kind of the biggest stage that a lot of these guys have ever been on.
Right.
You know, especially some of these international guys. This may be their first exposure not only to an American audience, but the biggest stage they've been on in the CWC. You know, it's not a huge crowd. There's probably maybe, I don't know how much the Full Sail Arena holds, but more than 50 people for sure.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying that that's the biggest crowds they've wrestled in front of, but for a lot of these guys, lack of experience.
Right. It's a new crowd to them. It's a very experienced crowd.
Yes. They know they're wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, this is not just you know, oh yeah, ooh, you know, so you have to really embrace, and I felt like maybe Jason Lee lost that a little bit, but
yeah.
Rich Swann moves on, insanely impressive. But again, like every guy, there's not been a guy yet that I looked at and I'm like,
they don't belong here.
Yeah, what the fuck is this guy doing here? Like, no, like
it has been a great tournament so far.
I want to see more from pretty much every one of these guys in some capacity, be it an NXT, just one-off, or
well, we actually saw Sean Maluda.
Yeah, on NXT, which was cool. You know, Ibushi we'd seen, but that's a little more expected, I think you would see him. But seeing Sean Maluda, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, that was really cool. So our next match, Noam Dar against Gurv Sira. This was a great match. I feel like this was a better matchup between the two of them than Harv had. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, great match.
Yes, Noam Dar was great.
You kind of immediately were taken with Noam Dar with his weirdness and unorthodox.
He was so weird. I loved it.
he had a great.
He put his like hands behind his back a lot, and like he just moved kind of strange on the turnbuckle and stuff. I loved it. That kind of not quite like Shinsuke, but maybe Shinsuke-esque. Not quite so like Drunken Master as Shinsuke.
Yeah, it was odd,
unique. Ooh, spooky fingers.
He definitely stood out, and they said several times the youngest entrant in the tournament. He was 22 years old.
Yeah.
But I was impressed, and I liked the weirdness, and I liked Gurv a little bit better too. You know, because he was more of a technical base.
Yeah. It was definitely stronger legs. His thighs were a lot bigger than ours.
Well, he was doing the...
Yeah, he comes out with the squatting dance thing that I could probably do like once and fall over. Like, oh my god, my muscles.
But no...
audience doing...
They
were getting all excited doing...
This was not rehearsed, as you can clearly see. But we're fighting invisible bees. But no, this was a really cool match. I liked it a lot, and again, I felt like he had Noam Dar and Gurv really clicked. There was a lot of almost to a point where I thought, have they worked together before? Because there was they moved very fluidly. Technically, it was a very solid match. I really liked it. Noam Dar, of course, gets the win, advances further.
Yeah.
And
I didn't think they wanted to put one Bollywood boy over the other.
Yeah, I get this sneaking suspicion they will go to NXT as a tag team. I feel like if they don't, it's a missed opportunity. Yeah. They great energy, great chemistry, excellent characters, and they both work. I'd love to see them work as a tag team because individually they were good workers. And
they work differently, which is always good.
Yeah, so I feel like in a tag team, I'm really interested to see what that element looks like.
Right.
Really interested.
So hopefully now that the first round is over, we can start seeing them in NXT possibly.
I would love to see that. That's my hope. You know, I'm not saying that like tomorrow they're going to be NXT tag team champions, but I feel like NXT is really lacking in tag depth right now, especially with kind of separating Blake and Murphy a little bit, and with people getting called up to the draft. I feel like you need some new teams to get behind, you know? Like, I don't want to say like a new Vaudevillains, but maybe a new kind of Vaudevillain type.
Especially with American Alpha being called up. We need some freshness.
Yeah, and you put those guys against like the Authors of Pain, they're going to throw them all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's just interesting,
and
I
that's
think.
just fun. I think they'll be good against the Revival, too.
So, for those of you that watched our last episode, you're probably aware that I am in love with Zack Sabre Jr. from a completely professional wrestling point of view. And that seemed a bit odd, I'm sure. But, if you watched this episode, you saw that Daniel Bryan is in love with another man, too! So, aha! Internet! And we have some quotes here. What do we have?
I love this man as a human.
Is it weird to be in love with another man after watching him wrestle on television? No, Brian, it's not at all. It's not weird at all, buddy. Come on in. So, but
it's 2016. Express your love however you feel.
yes, and I believe he said this was at the end of the match. He's like, I love him. I am literally in love with this man.
And we were talking about Jack Gallagher.
So fantastic!
He was really
I love
good.
him too. Like I've seen Zack Sabre Jr. work before, hence the love. Jack Gallagher, he's quite the gentleman.
I was a little wary because his gimmick is very strong, and sometimes guys focus more on one thing than they do on the other thing. But he had both things. So.
Yeah, his gimmick didn't feel like a gimmick. It was more of this is who he is.
It's just some part of his personality turned up to 11.
Yeah, he was fantastic. They spoke that he had done amateur MMA.
Yeah.
That he trains Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well as being a wrestler. He trained in the Snake Pit, which catch wrestling fans may be aware of. Billy Robinson.
I was going to say, that sounds terrifying.
No, Billy Robinson, a legendary catch wrestler, established the Snake Pit in the UK to teach that style there, and that is where Jack trains. Yeah,
he was great.
He was so fantastic.
The way he obviously, us having trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the past, not anytime recently, but
Tub.
it's a fantastic art to learn. It is very, very hands-on, and you learn movements that you wouldn't learn any other way.
It's true.
And his fluidity really came through, and I'm sure that's what he brought to professional wrestling with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background.
I think when you look at he and Zack Sabre Jr., they move differently than a lot of wrestlers. Even the technical wrestlers or guys who were called technical, like I believe Tozawa was, Drew Gulak was, they move different. It's that kind of. When I saw Jack Gallagher, and this was nothing wrestling, he's literally walking around, the way he held himself, the way he carried himself, and I said, Johnny Saint. He reminds me of Johnny Saint, just the way he holds his chest, the way he would move his arm, just everything, it screamed Johnny Saint to me. I don't know if that's by design. I mean, you can't be a British professional wrestler without being aware of who Johnny Saint is.
Some sort of influence, just kind of like saying Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, in America, you're aware of who Hulk Hogan is instantly. Yeah. In England, you're aware of who Johnny Saint is. I mean, the man wrestled on television for 20 years or something, so it's just.
He still trains guys.
Yeah, and he's incredible. Yeah. But so you look at that, and just the way he moves, the way he carries himself was so amazing. We're talking a lot about Jack Gallagher.
We're kind of gushing here. He went against
Fabian Eichner, who was, holy crap, this dude was
he was so muscly. He was a specimen. Somebody painted him into existence.
I was really surprised when they said that he was 200 No.
He was 203.
Was he 203? Okay, yeah, I was like, no, that's a kayfabe way in. That's not. But then you saw that he was an inch taller than Jack Gallagher.
Right.
Oh, well then, all right. But
anyway, he had a hard time getting down.
I can see that is a very distinct possibility.
Carved from marble, it is hard to get down to that weight.
Yeah, he was fantastic too.
Yeah.
He was so insanely athletic, which was a surprise. It was kind of like Tony Nese, to a point where I was like, oh man, I really would have liked to have seen Tony Nese and Fabian Eichner go against it, because holy cow, he was. the way he moved and he was powerful, and they said that several times through the course of the match, like, that's what Eichner needs to do, is utilize his strength and his power, but he hits a springboard moonsault.
Double springboard moonsault.
Insane.
And I love the way he, like, takes a beat before he does it, because he goes over to the ropes and he's like, and then boom, 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 and it was so smooth. Insanely impressive.
I mean, they said he trained with Das Wunderkid, Alex Wright, in Germany, which they mentioned. They mentioned that as well. They said, you know, an Italian who speaks German, and then they went into, you know, trains with Alex Wright, and I was like, yeah, Das Wunderkid.
Yay, Brian.
Because they were like, you know, former Cruiserweight champion, and I'm like, I don't remember that, but it's possible. But Alex Wright was like 8 feet tall, so how the hell was he ever a cruiserweight? Oh, but of course, this is in the land of cruiserweight champion.
Right.
Like Jericho was 238 pounds as cruiserweight champion, and they're like, he's a cruiserweight. I'm like, he is fucking bigger than a lot of the roster. He's a cruiserweight as Shawn Michaels was a cruiserweight. I digress. Great match, though.
Yes.
The crowd was really behind Jack. Got a lot of Jackie Boy chants.
Yeah, he was so much smaller than Fabian, and it just made for a really good visual.
Yes.
And that little, like, spinny move, he was
so good.
his hands, and he, like, did the little
kick out, and
whoop.
Bryan Danielson creamed in his pants. He's like, I love him. It was fantastic. I mean, I think we've said it several times. That's probably one of the best aspects of the CWC.
Listening to Daniel Bryan just fangirl over every match.
And just be like, oh, that move, oh! and it's so great. And again, like, I feel like Zack Sabre showcased a little bit more of his technical prowess, whereas Jack kind of showed a little bit more of his ability to sell, a little bit more personality in terms of what he was doing, but that drop kick for the finish, whoo, wow.
He almost went over his head.
Yeah.
Like, he almost went over his head and out of the ring. He had so much momentum and height on that thing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I'm so excited to see Jack in the next round against Tozawa. Really love Tozawa's work, but that's been the best part, is to see, and we'll cover the matchups, but just to see, like, who's going against who in the next round. You're just like, oh yeah, that's gonna be so good. But speaking of so good, you want to talk about love?
I'm getting dizzy just thinking about it.
You want to talk about what an example of professional wrestling and what a professional wrestling match should look like.
And storytelling in the ring.
You should look no further than Johnny Gargano against Tommaso Ciampa. We watched this match multiple times.
Yeah, because I was like, can we watch it again?
Every aspect of this match was magic. I mean...
And I was super excited for it to begin with, because I knew they were friends, and sometimes best friends outside of the ring put on the best matches inside of the ring because they know each other's limitations, and they can beat the living shit out of each other and put on the best match ever.
You know why? One of the reasons why I loved this match so much is there was a big lack of, like, crazy high spots.
Yeah.
Every move mattered.
Yeah.
Every bump helped tell a story. And you hear it a lot with, like, the old timers of, like, save your body, kid. Don't be taking these bumps. Don't be doing these crazy bumps. Take your time. Let the audience process the story you're telling. I don't know why I'm stone cold, but...
That sounds right. You know, that plancha shit will kill you.
Hey, kid, that plancha shit will kill you. But, you know, and there were some bigger spots, like the air raid crash onto the apron.
Right. That was a cathartic point in the story they were telling. Like, it was perfect match.
There are two spots that I specifically want to call out and bring attention to. The first, which I believe set a tone for the entire match, the back elbow that Ciampa hit on Gargano, and the spit, and he hit him so damn hard that he cracked him with that elbow. I feel like that established this is a war.
Right.
These
Tommaso
guys
is going to beat him.
Yeah, he is going to do... And Tommaso said it in the kind of pre-match promo where he said, you know...
I don't aim to injure, but I aim to hurt.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna give him my, I'm gonna hurt him. And it was that was like the moment where I was like, this is a big deal.
Well,
this is happening.
The interview they did, it was as soon as Gargano said he's just another guy.
Oh yeah.
And Tommaso flipped that switch.
Yep. And then the second spot was he gets Johnny down. I can't remember what he hit him before this, but he gets Johnny down, pulls the knee pad down to go for the flying knee strike, and he starts to...
He sees Johnny just broken and trying to get his eyes straight.
And he shakes his head and he pulls it back up and he hesitates. Johnny hits the super kick. Those two moments told the entire story of this match, where you get that brutal hard hit shot of like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to beat you down, and then that moment of, I'm sorry, I love you, you're my brother, I can't do this, pull the knee back up. I would have loved it, I'm sorry, I love you. Why did we not get... That's the one thing this match needed was, I'm sorry, I love you, super kick.
But as soon as he hesitates, he pulls it back up. Gargano then strikes him because he had enough time to recover.
Yeah.
Tommaso gets fucking pissed and takes his elbow pad off. And
no, that was a little further. This is where he just hits him with the big clothesline, and I believe just chopped him straight in the face.
Pulls him up by his face and chops him right in the face. He chopped him right in the face. He chopped him in the face.
Oh!
I would, if I could, I'm just gonna record like
can
all
we
of
see
Brian's
Brian,
reactions.
Can we just get a camera on Brian and just record his reactions? Because you know that's what he's doing. He's like, oh, oh, oh. But it was great.
This match was so high energy. We got a patented Mauro Ranallo
Mamma Mia! It was so good. Oh man!
Everything about it.
Yeah, just the story, and where he's like, Johnny gets up after the chops. I believe it was the chops to the face and the vicious chops to the chest. And he slaps back and he's like, "Come on, Tommaso!" And Tommaso rips the elbow pad. He throws it off, and it leads to an awesome sequence. Reversal, crucifix pin. 1, 2, 3. Johnny wins. Which this?
Oh, no, you missed your favorite part. Where Tommaso scoots away.
Oh, I did! Oh, man! Okay, so there's a moment, and I believe, he hits him with powerbomb into a lung blower, I believe it was, and he goes for the pin, and you're like, that's it. Like, this is it. 1, 2, vicious kick out, and Tommaso crawls away like a demon from hell has just emerged through the center of the ring and said, "Your soul is mine, Tommaso." And he ran away, and it was beautiful.
Just beautiful.
Oh my God, like this is like what do I have to do to kill you? Like,
what are you made of?
Yeah, we've seen like Samoa Joe did this against Finn with this just like, what is it going to take? Where this is like, oh my God, no, you're not human kind of reaction. Yeah. But, Johnny gets the win, and Tommaso just obviously just eating up, oh God, I can't believe it.
How did I lose?
And, they go for the handshake, and Tommaso, he steps away and gets out of the ring, and everybody's
like, please go back, please go back.
Johnny falls to, just kind of falls in a seated position, and Tommaso gets back in. He sits beside him. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And then Johnny hugs him, and then he holds his hand up, and it was this match. This match is an example. If you are an independent professional wrestler trying to figure out storytelling in professional wrestling, it's more than just cool spots. It's more than just awesome submissions or great, high flying maneuvers. It's storytelling, and this told a beautiful and perfect story. It was intense, it was violent, it was hard-hitting. Johnny did the great dive to the outside. Yeah. The knee he hit Johnny with when Johnny was doing the dive-in spear, and Tommaso countered with that knee. Yes. From a everything about this match, 10 out of 10. Like, I don't think there's anything you could do.
This match was so good and so hype. We got our very first C-dub-C crowd chant.
C-dub-C, C-dub-C.
It's oof.
Much like the character of Christian Bale in the movie The Prestige, when Michael Caine speaks of him, talking about magic tricks, he says, he does what other magicians only pretend to do. This match does what other matches only pretend to do. It was... I can't say enough good things about this match. I will watch it again and again.
It's beautiful. It's up here.
You hold it as if it were Simba in The Lion King. Mama Mia. Such a beautiful match, yeah.
Tommaso Ciampa.
Great match.
Yeah, this is
so good.
Gotta go down in the history books. It's...
Although, we have heard that Kota Ibushi, and there's no spoilers to this, Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander have the best match in Full Sail history.
Yeah, this is just rumor. We haven't seen it.
That is the rumor. After seeing Gargano and Ciampa, oh my god.
Right.
Holy shit, yes. Give us that.
Yes.
So,
but next week, that's what we get. It's going to be Tajiri and Grand Metalik and Kota Ibushi and Cedric. So coming out the gate with some greatness. Can we just reiterate that the CWC has been like the best thing to happen to wrestling?
It's the greatest thing in professional wrestling today.
Wrestling because the brand split's been fun. The live Raw and SmackDown, they've been great so far, but the CWC, man. We're going to be telling our grandkids about it.
And the crazy thing about it is there's such little, storyline in terms...
Yeah.
It's literally two guys go out, have a great match.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, there's a little bit of, investment in terms of who these guys are.
Right. Their story, how they got here, what they represent.
It's so minimal. It's just hey, you know what? Go have great matches.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that if WWE really wanted to, they could run... CWC is its own brand. And in my opinion, I really do. I think you could just have more of Ring of Honor. Just guys go out, they have a match.
Yeah. That's
it. That's what they do. If they wanted to, they're proving that. They're proving they can do that. But so we have the matchup set for the second round, which after the first, holy God, good Lord, man. I mean, it's amazing. But you have Akira Tozawa against Jack Gallagher. Tajiri against Grand Metalik, Drew Gulak, and Zack Sabre Jr. I love you too, Drew. Don't mistake. Noam Dar against Ho Ho Loon.
That's a weird matchup.
It is kind of a weird matchup, but
you had to go against somebody.
But I'm excited for it. That's gonna be good. The Brian Kendrick against Tony Nese. Really pumped for that.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see more of Tony Nese. Kota Ibushi against our favorite hometown boy. Cedric Alexander, the Queen City Zone.
Who we're going to see in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll see him in a few weeks at PWX. TJ Perkins against Johnny Gargano, and Lince Dorado against All Night Long, Rich Swann. Oh. Are there any matches, obviously besides ones that we've said, that you're particularly excited for?
I'm super excited to see Jack Gallagher again, just to get more of him.
Yeah.
I want to see Lince against Rich Swann.
That's going to be really impressive. This is probably going to be the best high flying.
High energy, high flying. I think it's going to be great.
Cedric and Ibushi are going to, allegedly they set the bar for everyone to follow. I think Drew...
Which is Cedric Alexander.
Yeah. I think Drew Gulak and Zack Sabre are gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
To a point where it's I wish there was some sort of a losers bracket, because I really want to see Jack Gallagher against both Drew and Zack. I want to see that. Man, it's there can be only one, but I want to see that match. Holy crap, I want to see that match. So Lots of really cool things looking forward to in the second round. Let us know below in the comments which match you guys are most excited to see in the future. Oh, and right now we have a poll out there on Twitter.
Yes.
We're also going to be adding this to the end of every video.
For the next week or so.
Yeah, for the next week or so, letting you guys pick what series we are going to work on next. Currently, we have in the pot what we're calling Fanarchy in the UK, a look at the history of British professional wrestling, if I could talk.
Blah, blah, blah.
Tandem Fandom goes east, the history of Japanese professional wrestling. A special on the most important man in the last 20 years of professional wrestling, Scott Hall. That's right. Why? Well, if you want to know why, tell us below in the comments. And American Independence, a focus on indie wrestling here in the good old US of A with our very own PWX.
Yay.
So let us know in the comments below. Let us know through social media what you guys would like to see us work on next. There's already a few votes up on the Twitter, so it's very exciting.
Yes.
Anyway, like, subscribe, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for all the...
Sorry, I thought you were done. I also wanted to note that next week it's going to a different format. It's only going to be 2 matches
That's right.
per episode. So they're obviously going to be pushing those 20-minute time limits in the ring.
I think I would be willing to bet they're going to give them half-hour time limits.
They have to.
It's an hour show, so,
Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't know, I guess like intro, outro,
Yeah, they could pad a
possibly
little
20
bit. Yeah, they could pad it a little bit more, but 2
Yeah.
matches, so these matches are going to be something else.
But yes.
Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Cast your vote on our Twitter poll.
Yeah, and as we always say here on Tandem Phantom, if you're going to be a fan,
Bring a friend.